Hey everybody, Tag Manager for Practitioners. It's been about 5 months now since we sat in a classroom together and went over something new and something spectacular, and we're going to kind of take a dive into Tag Manager, and what I want to do is get us like 3 or 4 steps closer to being able to read a chart and a graph that's provided as a result of the scripts that we run in Tag Manager. And then once we can read and understand what these graphs and charts are from the Google Analytics, then we can build a report in Insights and Analytics that begins to take advantage of the few select clients that we have that have installed Tag Manager, and then we can actually say, here is that advanced analytics that our salespeople told you you would get if you installed Tag Manager. So to get there, what we need is to accomplish a foundation that ignites confidence, and even more than the confidence is the intuitiveness. So we need a foundation of knowledge that can be beneficial, because once that knowledge is understood, then once it's understood at the core, then you begin to understand the intuitiveness of the depth of insights and analytics. So it's kind of like when you're riding a bike. After you learn how to ride a bike, everything that you do on that bike is just intuitive. The muscle actions come from the random visual stimulus, the changing terrain conditions, so that all of the exertion and energy requires no planning. You don't have to have a prepared strategy for navigating your bike down the trail. Or like getting in your car and you just press the start button, or in some cases, sometimes you still have to turn a key to get this car to start. Well, it doesn't take a lot of thinking, because it's almost a completely automated, just a natural occurrence. And that's what intuitiveness is, and that's what we need with regards to Tag Managers, that intuitiveness. So what I've done is I've put together an agenda. We'll talk about pixels because they are amazing. We're going to talk about the tracking of campaigns using Insights and Analytics. We're going to look at this, wow, very cool container. We're going to look at, okay, so what happens next? We're going to identify the benefits. We're going to look at events and goals and events or goals. We'll look at, oh my gosh, return on ad spend, amazing, advanced analytics and reports, and we'll wrap it up with an analytics step by step. Fantastic fun. So to start with, then we want to start by looking at what is a pixel. And quite literally, a pixel is just a minute area. It's an area of illumination that displays on a computer graphics screen. So that if we look at this particular image here, and then if we wanted to zoom in, let's say we zoom in 1000% on this particular image, then what happens is you begin to see the individual squares that make up the graphic design, the squares of illumination, and each one of those tiny little squares is a pixel. And that's what a pixel truly is. It's just an illuminated area on an image. So pixel tracking then is in some scenarios, you may have an agency or an advertiser or some third party, and they're going to want to track the impressions. And the way that they track impressions is that they use a tracking pixel. So the tracking pixel then is simply a code that gets inserted into the creative. And then that code makes a server call, and that happens because of the web browser. The web browser talks directly to the server and says, hey, I want this image. And so then the server returns that transparent, one by one, that little teeny tiny square, returns that image. And so that what happens then is, like we saw on the previous slide, is then that server call actually triggers that pixel call, and so we see that the server actually had to serve that pixel, and now we know that that impression occurred. So the one-by-one PNG or GIF file is an image, and it's used only for tracking. It's typically embedded inside of a web page, and we use an image tag in the HTML. It's an IMG tag for embedding that one-by-one pixel on a web page. And so then the tracking occurs on the server side. So when an HTTP GET is called, then this pixel is used in the environment. And it's kind of cool because it's an environmental thing where it doesn't matter if you're on a mobile app or if you're on a desktop or whatever type of display, an image tag or an image is a fairly simple way, and it's ubiquitous, even if it's on an internet connected TV or, like I say, a mobile app or whatever. It's easy way to track impressions and campaign performance. And so in a lot of cases we want to go a bit further than just an impression. We want to see a little bit more information. So we use what's called a JavaScript pixel, and that's contained in a JS file. JS meaning JavaScript, but they're usually called a JS file. And we use JS's for tracking, and that gets embedded in a web page, and that doesn't use an image tag. That instead uses a script tag. So the JS tag normally is used to execute some sort of a JavaScript in addition to just tracking a hit. And so it allows for tracking things such as time spent on the page. Where else did the user go within the website? And an image pixel is just going to show up on a particular page. But with a JavaScript, you could actually attach to the browser and follow that user wherever they go throughout the site. So you can see how many pages they looked at. Did they scroll down the page and stuff? And so you get more depth of information other than just an impression. So the JS file is kind of similar in nature, or in manner rather, to a one-by-one image, but it does a whole lot more. JavaScript can do a whole lot more for us. So in the early years, just to give it a little bit of a history, in the early years, campaign tracking, say from 1998 to 2002 era, used image pixels only. I mean, it was about that was the advance in technology. You just used web server logs to find out how many times an image was called up, and that gave you your impressions. And that was just using the actual web server logs to track those GET commands. Well, by around 2004-ish, became more sophisticated. Analytical software started becoming more prevalent. Internet browser technology tremendously evolved around early 2004, late 2003, so that server logs and image pixels became less and less necessary and less used. And so by 2007 then, pixel tracking became known as campaign tags. In most cases we just say tags. And though there are some people around that still use this slang that says pixels, we use tags since 2007. It's all tagging and tagging technologies. And so the question is, do I need tags to track a campaign? And no, you don't need tags to track a campaign. You'll use UTM to track any campaign. Every campaign that we run, you have to have a UTM. Because UTMs actually provide the most precise tracking that we can look for ads from AZ Central or Facebook or display networks or PPC or mobile apps or whatever. UTMs are necessary and mandatory, but tags, not necessary. You don't have to use tags. It's just better tracking with tags. So here's what a tag would actually look like. Here's a retargeting pixel. And you can see that it's a script. It's not an image, so this is an actual JavaScript versus a pixel. And then there's some instructions that come with these scripts and where they should, how to get them installed. And as you can see, this is an add role pixel here. Here's another one. Here's a conversion tracking pixel. As you can see, again, it's not an image, it's not a pixel, it's another JavaScript, and this is for a Facebook conversion tracking. So you're running a Facebook ad, and we want to see if that ad actually converts. So there's that script. You would copy this script and then paste it. This one says that you would put this in the head of the HTML on the page where the tracking conversion, where the conversion would be, so like a thank you page or something like that. So then we say, well, how many tags are typically on a website? And this is really kind of the precursor for getting into why Tag Manager, one of the benefits of Tag Manager. If we go to staples.com, and we can see here, these are the types of tags that are being used on Staples. Just what actually gets put on there. But in addition to the types of tags on Staples, we can see how many actual tags are on the Staples page. Let's try another one here where we would go to or actually, you know, it would be better than Home Depot. It's Lowe's. So you can see when we visit Lowe's that we've got just 27 types of tags that are being used, and we can see what those tags are. But we can actually see that there are a total of 46 actual scripts running. So for, you know, some of these are you know, multiple tags, multiple retargeting tags, and multiple Google Analytics tags. We've got Omniture in here, and in addition to Google, we've got Facebook ads and conversion tech. We got Telium in here in addition to Omniture and Google Analytics. So there you can see that there's a whole lot, 46 tags just on the home page of Lowe's, 27 different types. So it's huge, the number of tags that get included on a page. Now with Tag Manager, real quick, one of the benefits with Tag Manager is you wouldn't have to have all 46 of these tags on the page. We would be able to put all 46 of those in Tag Manager, and you wouldn't have any of them running on this page. And imagine how much speed they would pick up. Imagine how much faster this page would load, how much more responsive it would be if it wasn't having to run these 27 tag types and these 46 actual tags. That's one of the quick ones, but that's how intense and how involved. Even here in Google Docs, we've got, you know, one tag type, but there's 55 different tags just running in Google Sheets here, or Google Presents. So scripts are links to larger programs. So these tracking scripts that we're putting onto these pages and eventually hopefully embedding in Tag Manager instead are links to bigger programs. So Java is the type of a program that we would call it's a compiler language. Languages like Python or S or R, these are non-compiler programs. Those are just more script writing programs. But Java is a high level. It's a compiler language. It runs in the background, something like what Windows runs on C++. And the programs can be huge. And so rather than taking these huge programs and then putting them on every single page, we use these scripts to link to the actual programs. So for instance, if we wanted to look at a Java program that was written for tracking Vimeo videos and tracking Vimeo videos within Google Analytics, then we can take a look at what the actual Java program looks like. So here I'm on GitHub here, and we're looking at Sanders' program that he's written here for how to connect Vimeo video activity on Google Analytics. So everything from line 1 all the way through to line, scrolling down here to line 207 is the program. So without the JavaScript, we would have to embed this entire program on every single page of the website. And so we avoid having to do that by using the script. Or in some people, like say, we would call it a pixel. Well, it's not actually a pixel, but that's the slang. So we see that what this program actually does is it starts defining everything that can happen with a video on the web page. So we have to define these variables we're going to look at, like the progress 25, progress 50, 75, and so on. The time percent completed. We want to set what those variables defaults are set to false here, or the time percent is set to 0. And then we want to start telling it the program that says, well, is this a Google Analytics? Is it just the traditional Google Analytics, or are we looking at universal analytics? In this case, we're telling it that all of the information for those variables is going to come from a data layer, and that data layer is going to require on Google Tag Manager. And so that's what the program does. It sets everything that a computer has to be told everything to do, and so that's what the program does. Great amount of detail to say, here's everything that can happen on this video. It could be paused, it could be started again, it could be fast forwarded, it could be completed, or maybe it got never got completed. Where did it actually get stopped? What was the progress of it? And we want to track it, all these different items that happen, and we want to be able to put that information into the Google Analytics. So in order to do that, then we have to write a program that says, here's everything that happens. We have to create a data layer so that when we go over onto the web page where the activity is actually happening, this type of information is getting collected and then sent to Google Analytics. So it can get quite complex. It can be huge. And so rather than making the huge file a part of every page, we just make a small script to do all that work for us. So what we want to do next is we want to get into Tag Manager, and we want to say, well, let's define all of those variables in Tag Manager. So here's what that would look like. In Tag Manager, this is a website that we have. It's newhomecentral.com, and we can see this is the front page, the dashboard of Tag Manager for this account, New Home Central. And we can look and we can say, what are all the tags? And here's the various tags that we have running on New Home Central that is controlled through Tag Manager. We have triggers. Here's when those tags actually get fired. We create rules for those triggers, and we have the variables. So we just looked at the script a few minutes ago, and we saw that there was all these variables that were defined within the Java code for the Vimeo action, the category, the label, the president. So we have to define those variables here in Tag Manager. So if we, for instance, look at Vimeo action, we have to have the type of variable. So there's a lot of variable types. In this case, we know that we're working with a data layer because that's the way the JavaScript was created or crafted. So we make this a data layer variable, and then we want to define the name of the variable is the event action. It matches what's in the JavaScript, and we're going to use version 2. So we define each of those custom variables within Tag Manager, and then we have to define the trigger. Okay, so the trigger for the Vimeo clicks that says if this happens on a page, we want to track it. So there's these different types of events. You can have page views, clicks, form submits, history, custom events, and so on. JavaScripts, timers, and if you want to have a real true bounce rate, we'd use a timer event. And then we have to tell it when do you want to fire, and so we're going to call it those variables that we defined in the JavaScript program. In this particular case, I used a regular expression. And then I told it what that regular expression is, so that if this has not occurred, but this Vimeo event has occurred, then we have tracking, and then we're talking to that data layer. We're going to the data layer and we're saying, give me the category. Now, if this happens, then we're going to go to that data layer and say, okay, let me collect what that event action, and so forth. So now we define what the triggers are, and then we can go, once we have the variables done, we have the triggers done, now we can create the tag. So in this case, the Vimeo event tag, we're going to set it up so that it's a Google Analytics tag. And as you can see, again, there's a lot of different kinds of built-in tags that we can use. We got analytics, we've got AdWords, we've got DoubleClick, there's Teliums in here, and then if you don't find anything that you want, you can create a custom tag, or if you want to use that old-fashioned pixel image, we could even still use a custom image tag within Google Analytics. So in this case, I'm using Universal Analytics. I go to my Google Analytics for this account and I grab my tracking ID so I can plug that in. So now I'm going to collect the data and send it to the proper place, to the proper collector. And then I can define what each of these events are. So the event category, the event action, the event label. I can put a value on the page, and I can say, where do I want to look for the trigger? And in this case, I've selected to look on every single page. Every single page is this particular tag fires. So that's really deep and complex, but that's what Tag Manager does. Tag Manager provides us the ability to custom create really simple or really sophisticated tracking mechanics for our clients, so that we can, within our insights and our analytics team, we can really get down to the nitty-gritty of what's happening for this client. What are the results of the ads we're running? What are all the activity types that could happen? And then we can track it back using the UTMs and Google Analytics to exactly how ads run through Republic Media completed each and every one of these conversion points. So it's very simple. It's very complex, depending on the client and depending on the application. But that's Tag Manager and tracking Vimeo videos with Tag Manager. So we don't really track data with Tag Manager. There are no Tag Manager reports. And you don't even really need tags to track advertising campaigns, but you will always need a UTM to track any campaign. But that's what Tag Manager actually does for us. It just helps us to translate what's happening on a web page to a Google Analytics data collector. So how can I use insights and analytics to track campaigns? And there are 4 precise methods, and this is in order of preference. So in the best case, number 1, the best thing that we can ask a client to do is to install our Tag Manager container and put it on their website. That's the absolute best, because that gives us every opportunity. We can do the maximum amount of capability for proving our advertising to that client. So the second then is that we get manager level access because the client already has Tag Manager on their website. And if they've already got Tag Manager on their website, then we can get manager level access to that existing Tag Manager. And so we want to ask the client to send that to analytics@republicmedia.com. So then the third way, the preferred, is that the client provides us with a unique view within their existing Google Analytics account. And I've created some instructions over on insightsandanalytics.com. You can find those instructions there on the web page. And then lastly, if worst case scenario, if we can't get any of the above, then the client provides us with read access to their existing Google Analytics account. And so that's the 4 ways that you can provide tracking through Insights and Analytics. And so then you say, well, what are the advantages for using Insights and Analytics? And there's a couple of different ways that we can look at the advantages. We have one place where we can track everything that happens for the client. And no matter what channel they're using, no matter what types of ads they're using, whether they're using our ads or somebody else, or they're buying from some other third party or another vendor. And then there's the simplified analysis, the details and the results. As you've all seen, when you build those reports, in a lot of cases, you just select the type of campaign that's being run, and all the data cubes just pre-populate with the various information that you need, so that they're simplified. You get insight to the client's entire digital presence, not just the campaigns that they're running with us, like I said, but you'll get a complete picture of where they are and what they need. And then there's the Republic Media branded reports. They're beautiful reports that we're able to provide. They're automated, so that you can just set it up so that it runs by itself in the background. Once a month it's going to update and send to the people that need to have the report. They're easy to read and translate, and they're electronic, so that anytime somebody wants to log into there, it's going to be live and update within 24 hours. All the data can get viewed online. It's secure because each and every one of those reports has a unique link, and they're all on a secured server. Most data are updated every 24 hours, but the only thing that's not updated every 24 hours is your insights that you're providing those reports, but you're doing those once a month, so that works. So how do I get prospects and clients a Tag Manager container? This is actually pretty easy. Again, you go to Insights and Analytics, you go down to the bottom of the page and you look up Request a Tag Manager and it walks them through. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Here's the page. Coming right up. 4 fields that they have to fill out, or you have to fill out, or the account executive. I want the name because I need to know who is making the request. I need to know how to get a hold of them, where they want me to send the container, so I want the email. I want to know what the client's name is, so put the client's name here, and then I need the client's website URL. And once you have that in there, then you just click the box to prove that you're not a robot, because robots can't click boxes, and then they send that. And once I have that, then I create their container. Pretty easy, 4 fields. And then, are there other benefits to Insights and Analytics besides digital advertising analysis and reports? And of course, the answer to that would be, of course. Some of the other advantages include improved client retention. They're getting reports that they're not going to get anywhere else. They're getting insights that they're not going to get anywhere else. So that's got to help with retention. We can upsell products more easily because we can show them directly with their own data, with their own website traffic, what traffic increases they need, what channel increases they need. So it gives us the upselling. Prospecting strategies and methods that open the doors, and we close more business. What do we mean by that? Prospecting and strategy methods. As an example, we'll come back over here to our Insights and Analytics dashboard. You remember this. In the toolbox, you have the site performance. And in that site performance, we're actually able to take a look at the client site and compare it to a couple of the competitors. And we can start predicting and showing them with real data and facts where they're weak, where the competition is strong, where there's opportunities that are getting missed, what needs to happen next that would have the greatest impact. We can look at how to easily translate return on ad spend. Oh my gosh, return on ad spend, not just impressions and clicks. Return on ad spend, that's an amazing, let's take a look at an example of return on ad spend. We're running PPC campaigns on New Home Central, and because we've been able to put conversions on the PPC, we can get a dollar value and compare the cost of the campaign to the value of the conversions, and we can get an actual return on ad spend. And in this case, we're seeing about a 216% return. So for every dollar that we're spending, we're getting $2.16 back. We can get deeper insights for future campaigns developed in cross-channeling campaigns. Here's an example. These aren't just pretty words. I'm going to give you an example of these. So if you're in the dashboard toolbox and you go to Google Analytics and you look at all traffic, then you can see every single channel that's driving traffic to this particular client, and you can see the impact that traffic is having on a variety of subjects. How much traffic are they getting? Their traffic's down in paid search, it's down in direct. We're down again with these red arrows, and the red box is showing that this is a declining channel. Our organic traffic is increasing. Right below or inside there, you can see that it's down 49%, but you can see the actual numbers too. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to click. We're at 903 sessions from paid search versus in the previous 30 days we had 1,783. It's great amount of information in a small space. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge that you can gain here. But let's look at goal completions. Which one of these channels are producing more value? Where's the conversions coming from in these channels? Not just the amount of traffic that we're getting, not just whether the bounce rate's better or not, but what we really want to get to the point is like, where's the revenue coming? So real scientific methods for A/B tests and multivariate tests. This is going to be just a little bit more of a sophisticated tool, because we're going to go right straight into the Google Analytics. Hang on just a second, I've got to switch accounts. Safety first, huh? So within Google Analytics, we can get to running actual real A/B tests. We can run experiments. Using our tag manager, we create a Google Analytics account so that we can run these tests, and we can get scientifically run tests, not just seat of the pants. Let's send half the traffic here and half the traffic there, but an actual scientifically, digitally run A/B test right through the computer system. We can get for a case list for when and why we would use certain channels. For instance, we can have some attribution models. Here's another example of an advanced step where we can go directly into Google Analytics and we can look at the assisted conversion modeling here, so that we can see not only was each one of these channels converting, but how did they assist in conversion? So for instance, direct traffic played a role in 111 conversions in addition to where it was the last click conversion. It played an assist role. Paid search had 52 assists in conversions, and organic and so forth. So we can see the attribution modeling, and we can see then that in these assisted conversions, that we added an additional $21,000. So as a last click, so somebody that came, say, directly from paid search and made a conversion in one visit, had $110,000 worth of value. But by having various campaigns running across all of these channels, we were able to add another $21,000 worth of revenue for the client. So that's some of the more advanced steps with Google Analytics. And that's the end of part one. Now that we understand what Tag Manager is actually doing for us, how it's providing us with the ability to get to the advanced analytics and the advanced reporting, that insights that no other agency is providing clients, that's the intuitive knowledge that you need to have of Tag Manager. You don't have to go out and be able to program in JavaScript. You don't have to be able to write these advanced tags. We don't have to have all of the sophisticated HTML knowledge. I mean, those things are great. The more of that you have, the more valuable you are to your profession, to your career, to the people that are working with you, and to your people that you're representing and helping. But you don't have to have all of that. You just have to have that intuitive knowledge that Tag Manager, these container tags, provide us an unbelievable amount of ability and capability for data. And that's the end of part one.